Welcome. My name is Clarence Caldwell. I am so excited that you're here. And hopefully you're excited to be here. I know that you've taken time, energy, and effort. You made the decision. You took action. You're here. That, to me, is amazing. It means a lot that you've done that. Not only to me that you've done that, but it should mean something to you because it sets you up in a very prime position, a very good place to see things happen in your life that maybe you hadn't expected would happen. But if you don't make a decision and you don't act, what do you think will happen? Nothing. Right? So those are the first two steps. You got to decide. Deciding is kind of easy. It's like it takes 0 calories. Unfortunately, you can't lose weight by making decisions. And it takes no time, like a nanosecond. You can make a decision like that. But decisions alone aren't enough, right? You've got to act on the decision. You can leverage the fact that things change to your good. You can begin to attract the world that's changing around you in a way that the change that's happening to you is the change that you desire. Who wants something to change in their life? Anybody want anything?
Does anybody know?
All right, I just want to make sure. If everything was cool, then we can shut it down right now. But it does require a decision and it does require action. And if nothing else changes tonight for you, you're going to be an hour older, right? So you will change tonight. Now I'm going to give you the definition of transformation, the definition relative to Webster in Webster's view. Now, those of you who know me well know that when we talk about these kinds of things, I come up with my own definitions that I think are much more powerful and impactful than what you would read academically. But Webster says transformation is a complete or major change in something or someone, form, appearance, etc. So when I read that, I said, that's pretty insightful. A complete or major change, a significant change. We all agree with transformation being a significant change in form, appearance, or etc.
You can transform from a car to a monster from outer space.
The Transformers. The Transformers. That is a complete and major change. That's right. That's a transformation. And so I spoke with a psychologist and a teacher in Riverside, and they were telling me that if a child isn't really catching on and being coached and taught well by their 4th grade, that their life is going to be similar to what I'm seeing. 4th grade. Now, a lot of us don't get serious about school until we're in high school. By then, it's kind of like too late. Not for everyone, but that's something to think about. If you have kids, grandkids, or children that you know, pay attention to their education in those formative years. That's very, very, very important. So I use this definition as almost a joke because it really doesn't hit the point of transformation. Transformation is much more than the process of being transformed. I mean, you're not supposed to use the word transform in the definition.
You can't define something by using that word.
Exactly. So why do they do that? I don't know. So I couldn't find anything better than what they came up with. So, of course, I created my own. So good old Webster has theirs, and good old Clarence has his.
Okay.
Now, this one I want you to take to heart, because it does talk about change in some respect. But true transformation is the creation of a different reality. A different reality. Let that one circle around a little bit, because we're not talking about a small change. Who wants to have more money? Who wants to lose weight or be more fit? Okay? You know, both of those things you can make changes to by making a decision, taking action. If you want to be more fit, make a decision, I'm going to be more fit. The action, I'm going to eat less, work out more, right? We all know that formula. that's not going to transform you. But we look for that transformation in that change, in those incremental changes. I'm going to be transformed in those incremental changes. There was a TV show, some of you might have known it. I think it just ended recently. And it's like a reality show, but it's a competition. And people are trying to lose weight. And it's called The Biggest Loser. Have you heard of that one? The Biggest Loser. Now, who would go on the show to win the title of The Biggest Loser?
Lots of stupid people,
right?
Evidently.
So here, you got to think about this for a minute, because the words you use are so very powerful. The Biggest Loser. Now, that person who won, he's been on the talk shows over the last few days, and I've been listening to him, and he's lost a lot of weight. He's lost, I think it was like 180 pounds or so. And it's like half his weight he's lost. And he's 188 pounds today. But I can imagine him, when that show is all gone and forgotten, and his kids and his grandkids ask, "Hey, Grandpa, what did you accomplish?" He says, "Well, I'm the biggest loser." Right? I mean, that's not something you're going to want to keep with you on your resume, I don't think. But here's the deal. When he went from 300 plus pounds to 188 pounds, would you call that a transformation?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's a transformation, huh? What makes it a transformation?
The dramatic difference from A to B.
The dramatic difference from A to B.
Changing his way of being.
So,
His reality now. His reality was heavy.
there you go.
His reality is fit.
If you look at what Webster has to say, the transformation was because he had a major change in his appearance, his form. That's the transformation that everybody talks about. The real transformation is in his reality. That's the transformation that's important. That's the transformation that's long-lasting. That's the transformation that means the most. His reality absolutely changed. And I'll give you a couple of examples. When he was on the talk show describing, how happy he was to be a loser, he was talking about the fact that he works out 4 times a day. Is that a change to a reality or what? He went home and his little boy said, "I want my fat daddy back because my fat daddy had time to play with me." He shared that with America. That's a reality change. Reality changed for him at home. It changed for him in what he does. His reality absolutely changed. Not just what he ate and how much he worked out, but his total reality changed. And it has nothing to do with his weight loss, right? So we get confused sometimes when we say transformation. We think it's this, but really it's your reality. When your reality changes, that's when you transform. Now this is important to remember because this fact, Clarence's fact, good old Clarence's definition of reality being the real key to transformation, is what is the key for you transforming any part of your life. Now, not everybody wants to transform. Transformation is not, it might be overrated. It's like, why should I transform? I'm kind of happy. Things are going well. I don't really need a transformation, do I? Maybe not. What do you want to transform? Does anybody have anything they want to transform or something they just want to change? You want to change finances? You want to transform your finances? There's a difference. If you're comfortable financially, you might not want a transformation of your finances, and that's fine. A nice change would be good, a raise or this. That's always good too, right? So you have to decide, are you after a change or are you after a transformation? And people try to sell you transformation everywhere you look. I can transform your life, right? You're not always looking for a transformation. How about your career? Are you doing what you love to do? Would you like to transform your career? Or do you just want that next promotion to change? It's okay. There's no judgment about what you want. It's what you want. The key here is it's your choice, right? You have the choice. So when I say transformation, and I started this thing with transformation, I know some of you are like, uh-oh, here we go. We're going to go talk about this woo-woo stuff of transforming ourselves. It's not about that. It's about understanding what it is you want in your life so that you can get what you want in your life. If you're not clear about what you want,
You won't get what you want.
you're not going to make the decision, you're not going to take the action, right? So you're not going to get it. So you've got to be clear about that. So even though I'm talking about transformation, I know transformation is not for everybody in this room. It's really not for a lot of people at any given point in time. You might reach a point where you say, okay, now it's time to transform. And usually it gets to a place where you hit rock bottom, or there's something wrong, or you're sick and tired of being wherever you are, and then you say, I need a complete transformation. Who's been to Cleveland, Ohio? No one? You've been through there? Yes. Were you going pretty fast? That's what you want to do. You want to fly through that place. What year was that you went through? 94. Oh, that's probably an okay place back then. Well, an old timer like me, I was in Cleveland in the 60s, right? And Cleveland has grown up in the 70s and 80s and 90s and 2000s, so it's a nice little city now. Then it was kind of like country. So as a country bumpkin, being raised in Cleveland, I had no clue about the rest of the world until my mother remarried and moved us to New York.
Ooh, that's quite a change.
That's a big change, right? You go from the country to the city. But not just the city. It was like the ghetto city. It was like where the projects are, where the buildings are, So it was really a tough place, especially for a kid who had no clue. In Cleveland, I loved to run around barefoot in the grass. Who's done that? That feels good, doesn't it? I mean, you get one with nature. You start to enjoy the birds. You just lay on the ground and read the clouds. Have you done that? I loved that. I missed that. Gosh, that was like 100 years ago. We used to catch grasshoppers. You know those grasshoppers? I don't know what they're really called, crickets maybe, but they're grasshoppers to us. They had flying grasshoppers. You ever see those? Those of you that were from the country or have been in the country, you know. And we'd grab those things if you could catch them. And it would feel funny that the legs a little squiggling in your hands, and you're like, ooh, what is this? And you let it go and it'd take off. And what they'd leave behind was a little brown spittle or something. Like we called it tobacco. Don't tell me what it really was. To me, it will always be tobacco, right? So that's my memory of Cleveland. That's how I grew up. So when we moved to the ghetto of New York, in the high-rise, in the projects where the buildings are 6 stories of concrete jail, where everything is metal and the people are a little bit wacky, it's like, okay, oh my God, where am I? What happened? When you're in that environment, you have to adapt. Some people say you have to change. Some people say you have to transform. But it's a rough environment. I remember going to the basketball court. And for those of you who've never played basketball, it's a simple sport, but it's not easy if you haven't played before. And I have never picked up a basketball prior to that time. So I had a basketball, and I was literally bouncing it and losing it and bouncing it. And the guys over there were looking at me, and they were like dribbling, bouncing between the legs and around the back, because that's what, you're in the ghetto in New York, that's what you had to do. I was bouncing it and not doing very well, and the guys would look at me and say, dude, are you black? Now, anybody coming in here, do you question whether I'm black or not? No, but they did. They wanted to pull my membership card because I could not bounce the basketball. That was just a given. You had to play basketball. If you didn't, you're an alien. So I'm bouncing or not bouncing, and this guy comes over, and as I was bouncing, he takes the ball. And I'm like, hey, I was just playing with that. He says, well, you got to learn how to keep the ball from me. So I bounce again, and when he comes this time, I kind of turn my back. And he's, oh, hey, that's pretty cool. I can do this. I start to learn how to play. I have a little change, and I learned that that made a difference. So now it's time to shoot. That was a disaster. What do you think happened as soon as I tried? Boom! Somebody came over and knocked the ball out of the park. Like, oh boy. So here we go. They're picking sides for the next basketball game. There's two people that are picking. And there's an odd number of us there. And first guy picks, I want Kevin. The next guy, I want Ralph. The next guy, I want Jimmy. The next guy, I want Paul. The next guy, I want Froggy. There's a guy named Froggy. And he kind of looked like a frog too. But and then there was then the next guy, I want Al. And so we get down to the last one, and there's two of us left. One position left. Who do you think got called? Wasn't me. Because they knew I could not play the game. So how did I internalize that? How would you have internalized that?
I'm a failure. Nobody
A
wants me.
letdown, man.
It was a letdown, failure. It was like, they don't like me. It was all about they don't really like me. I thought they liked me. It was like, oh my gosh, they just don't like me. What really happened was they got that same pattern of multiple outcome on the far end. Now wait a minute. Clarence, didn't you just say that you get two patterns? Yes. If you're looking at it. If you're not looking at it, this is what shows up. Now, how does that make sense? If you're looking at it, what you expect to see shows up. If you're not looking at it, this shows up. Those multiple outcomes. So the scientists said, wait a minute, this is not making sense. So they set up cameras. They set up devices to measure this and monitor it. What's going on? One proton at a time, shooting it through that slit. Where does it go? What happens when it goes through there? And what they found was that when they were not looking at it, it was like magic. It's this, the observer created stability just by looking at it, just by observing it. It changed everything. The observer changed the outcome without doing anything, without blowing on it, without impacting it in any way. Just observing it made the change. This is why Einstein said, this is crazy stuff. It doesn't even make sense. But as soon as the observer looked at it, boom, it's like the protons knew, oh, they're looking, let's operate the way they expect us to operate. How strange is that? It's like do-do-do-do-do-do.
Yeah.
Right? So this is the basis of quantum mechanics. This is the basis of quantum physics, because what happens is if you have multiple probabilities on the outcome, there are literally multiple realities that exist at the same time. Even though you're living in one and you expect one, there are these other realities that exist. Let me put it a way that maybe the right brain people can grasp hold of it. Let's say we are in different dimensions, different universes. And there's a Clarence in universe 1. And there's a Clarence in universe 2. And a Clarence in universe 3. And that's me, I'm here with you. And there's a Clarence in universe 4. And Clarence in universe 5. Clarence in universe 1 is on a plane somewhere. He's flying off to Scotland because he wants to play golf there. He's a really good golfer. The Clarence in universe 2, he's up in Seattle visiting his grandkids. The Clarence in universe 3 is me. I'm right here, focused, and this is where we are. The Clarence in universe 4 is doing something else. So I have these multiple realities taking place right now at the same time based on the quantum physics theory. Okay? So even though you would expect that there's only this happening, there's really all of these other probabilities happening at the same time.
But they're not real.
They're not real for me because this is where I am. But they are real. They're just as real as where I am. I know. I know. This is what, and that's what Einstein said. But when Einstein finally tested it himself, he read the data, he tried it over again, and I will tell you, this experiment goes on today. This was happening in the early 1900s, 1912 to 1920, when they discovered this. They are still doing it today, trying to figure it out. They know that it happens, but they don't know why. That's where the science and the woo-woo come together, because it's the woo-woo, the stuff that we can't explain, that makes my heart beat right now. I don't know why my heart's beating. It's beating on its own. I'm not making it beat. I'm breathing. I don't know why. I'm breathing. I know I have to. It's life that's running through me right now that's creating that. And I don't understand life enough from a left brain standpoint to say that's where it's coming from. I'm plugged into a wall somewhere, and that's what's giving me the heartbeat. No, that's not happening. I'm plugged in somewhere that I can't see and I don't know. That's the woo-woo. I'll call it woo-woo, and those of you who are of a spiritual nature, I hope that's not offensive, but it is the stuff that we don't understand. And there's many things in this world we don't understand. There's an invisible world that we don't understand. Obviously, there are other realities we don't understand. But what we grasp onto are the things that we can prove scientifically. And so if I can prove this scientifically, then this is real. But guess what? Quantum physics can be proven scientifically. We don't understand it, but it can be proven. And that created that. I mean, that's what happened to this guy. He's like, I don't get it. He calls it weird science. He still wants to call it science, but he says it's just weird science. And he finally admitted that quantum physics, quantum realities, and quantum mechanics are real. This is the man, in terms of us being human, this is the guy that knows it all, right? He says, this is real.
So it's just the issue then of there being more than one potential outcome with the same action? Is that what the quantum...
That's right. So if you go back to this, let's take this drawing for an example. There was another one I didn't include in here. What happens after it goes through those slits, as an example, an electron or a proton could go in this direction, or it could go in this direction, and it's not being interfered with another one. So that's why they shot them one at a time. If they were shooting a couple at a time, then maybe they were interfering with each other and pushing each other around. But one at a time, sometimes it would go here. The next one, oh, I'm going to go over here. The next one, I'm going to go over here also. And so there's these patterns that some would go over here. Some would go over here, some would go over here, some would go over here. And they were all real. They're all reality. They're all reality, but they're different probabilities. They're different possibilities. And that's the way our life is, based on the observer. When you observe, when you change the observer, you change the outcome. So when I talk about changing the observer, I'm talking about you. Changing your observation of your own life has an impact on your own life. Anybody get that?
Yes.
If you get that, say, I get that.
I get it.
All right. So you're the observer of your own life. And you're living in this quantum reality, whether you want to believe it or not. You're here, and you have a multiple of probabilities, multiple of possible outcomes in your life. Clarence number 1 is on a plane headed to Scotland. I kind of like that. maybe I'll jump over there. So how do we jump over there? How do we create the realities that we want? Okay, so with here's the one thing that I'm going to share with you now, and I'm going to leave the left brain stuff alone. I told you it was going to be quick. I didn't want to get too deep in that. You got the 65,000 foot view of quantum physics. So don't walk out here thinking that you're a scientist right now. That is the really gross look at it, right? But it's been proven by the double slit experiment. And if you look it up, if you want to go deeper, the left brain people, you can go really, really deep. It's got formulas that go with it that try to explain every photon and what happens with every photon and how it interferes with itself to push itself off to the other reality. I mean, you can go very deep. We're not going to do that. I like doing that, but we're not going to do that. But here's what you can do, and this is the simplest thing you can do. And I think this is almost too simple, but it's kind of brilliant because everybody can do it. Who's had the spouse or the girlfriend or boyfriend that just kind of left them or hurt them in some way? I know everybody's had that. Everybody's had that. I know. We've all had that. So what did you do afterwards? You get depressed. It feels bad.
Yeah.
Kind of put
emotional stuff.
There's emotional stuff, and you kind of
shrink.
you see, yeah, you go to talk to somebody about it, and you kind of stay in that mode for a while. It doesn't go away like that. It doesn't go away like that. It can go away much quicker, right? I won't say it can go away in an instant, because I want to honor our emotions, because our emotions are the energy that we use to determine who we're becoming. Okay, our emotions are the energy that we use to determine who we're becoming. But when you recognize an emotion that isn't feeling really good, recognize that you're becoming someone that isn't going to be very good too, right? So you need your emotions. You need to pay attention to those. And so I encourage you to feel the emotion, whatever it is, whether it's good, bad. It's a gift. Your emotions are a gift. Feel them and recognize where it's taking you, though. And once you recognize it's taking you someplace you might not want to go, now it's time to what? Decide and act and change your reality. You have multiple realities to pick from. We just proved that scientifically. You can change your reality. So here's the easiest way to change your reality. When something like that happens in your life, and if you've got a pen and paper, I want you to write this down. This is 4 words I'm going to give you, and this could absolutely change your life. If you put these 4 words on your mirror every day, you see it in the morning, this could be it. It changed my life. I know that, and I know it's helped a lot of other people. If you write the word, just right now, so what? So what? Well,
what's next?
My wife left me. All right, so what? Well, I'm alone.
So what?
So what? She took the dog.
So what?
I had the dog written into my divorce. I got custody of the dog.
All right. So you might be my so what? So what? Well, now I'm alone. I'm lonely. So what? It makes me feel really bad. So what? You know, we could play this game for a long time. But and you have to play that game with yourself. You have to say, this isn't feeling really good, and you have to say to yourself, all right, so what? Now that's a hard thing to say. Simple, but not easy. You agree with that?
Yes.
Simple, but not easy. The so what is one of the hardest things you can do. It is like it's one of the hardest things you can do, but if you can get to that place, after you've said so what 15 times, you basically back yourself into a corner with the so what, the so what, the so what. You hit that rock bottom that we talked about where transformation begins. You back yourself up and you're like, so what, so what? The only thing left from that point is now what? Okay? Those are the 4 words that could absolutely change your life if you learn to use them when you need them. This is quantum physics right here. Right? This is the right brain side of quantum physics. Because the now what, that is inviting the other realities. If you're just going to stay in this reality of woe is me, fine, that's your choice. But you have other realities available to you. Not simple changes of diet and exercise to lose a few pounds, but a complete change of reality. So when I didn't get picked for that basketball team, I had to say, they hated me, and it felt bad. And I took it personal. They don't like me. But then, so what? So that means I'm not going to have any friends. So what? Then I'll never play basketball. So what? All right, now what? See that other basketball over there? Grab that ball, go to the other court, and practice a little bit. Practice. So your now what becomes a different reality. My reality before the so what hit me was to stay there and lament in the fact that I wasn't loved by these guys in the ghetto. Right? I look back now, I'm like, really? That meant that much to you? For a 12-year-old, it did. Right? But my now what changed everything. It was more than a change, because when I practiced, I was out there at night. I was out there the next morning before anybody showed up. I was out there. My bouncing became dribbles. My dribbles became fancy dribbles between the legs. I ended up the star on my high school basketball team from 12 to 18. Those are the formative years, the wonder years, when somebody couldn't even bounce a ball to end up the star of the basketball team. That's a transformation, because my reality changed. Your reality can change if you get to the now what. Right? That's a simple example. And this isn't about what I've done, it's about what you can do. If you're struggling with money, think of it this way. Money is always flowing around you. It is always flowing around you. Guess what? There's money in that basket right there. There is. I didn't expect. I came in with an empty basket. There's money in that basket. It's always flowing. It really is. I told this story before, so those of you who've heard it, bear with me just for a second. I was at an airport, and I was at the counter, and there were two men behind me, and I was being taken care of, and I looked down, and there was money on the floor. Money's all around. So I look at the guys. They look at me. I look at them. They didn't move, so I grabbed the money, put it in my pocket. Now, it was only a penny. But here's the deal. When I did that, one of the gentlemen said, "Hey, was that penny on heads or tails?" Ooh. And I gave him one of those puppy dog looks. What? Heads or tails? He says, "Well, if it was on tails, it's bad luck." Money? Bad luck? When is money flowing in your life ever bad luck? See, that's a mentality. That's that scarcity mentality. I don't want to touch that money because it's bad luck. I don't want to pick it up. It's only a penny. Guess what? It's money. It's flowing. It's the abundance that's all around us all the time. If you are shutting down these things to meet your criteria, guess what else you're shutting down? You're shutting down all those other realities that are available to you. I hope you're getting this. If you're not getting this, I'll say it again. We're taping this. I'll send you the tape. This is important. If you're running into an issue in your life, get to a place where you can say, "So what?" I know it's not easy, but find a way to just say to yourself, "All right, so what? So what? So what? Now what? Oh, that's just a penny. So what? Now what?" Well, it's money, right? Pick it up. You let it flow. Money is flowing around us all the time. So if you're having a problem with finances, know that there's abundance of it. You're having a problem with relationships, passionate, meaningful, fulfilling relationships, it's available to you. It's around. You have to be available to it. You can't say, "I don't like that guy because he's got a beard." Or, "I wish the guy wouldn't shave his head. I really like him. I'd like to see his hair." Now you're starting to put, "Oh, that penny's bad luck." Now you're starting to say it's only a penny, when that could be the soulmate you've been waiting for. Right? You get past that, because guess what? In 20 years, we're all going to look bad anyway. So don't you want to have somebody you can sit in the rocking chair and just talk about life with and just connect on a deeper level? Right? So, at some point, you got to kind of get rid of those things that are standing in your way of living the reality that you choose to live. All right. Enough of the preaching. All right. Can I get an amen? Amen. All right. All right.